Hey, squad, welcome back to Full Ride, the college recruiting podcast. This is your host and coach, Quito Delgado, and it is good to be with you. I'm trying something new. I'm actually streaming this on YouTube, so I'm in the process of setting up my new studio. My daughter, she took over my old studio. I had a nice little setup. She took it over, so now I'm in the process of moving into her old room, um and then she's in my old studio. So for those of you watching on YouTube, I can kind of show you. It's a little, you can see her old pictures and stuff from when she was a kid. And but it's kind of meager right now, but at the end of the day, I think it's cool just to, sometimes you just gotta try new things. My man Chris Wright, somebody who I've gotten to know over the years. He's a good dude, and he really is somebody who engages in my content a lot. And he said to me, "Say, man, you really got to start recording and going on YouTube with your podcast, because I've traditionally done what's it called, audio only." And he's like, "You really should just go all in and produce, video." So that's what we're doing, right? I just hit video on YouTube. I'm gonna upload it. Whatever happens, happens. And if you want to watch it on YouTube, just search "You Recruit You," and then you're gonna see my latest video. But I want to talk about. So speaking of my daughter, I got my 11-year-old daughter, and one of the best parts of my day is bringing her to school in the morning. She's not a morning person. She likes to sleep, and quite frankly, it's just not worth her getting up super early to catch the bus. So by me driving her to school, she gets about, let's say, 35 to 40 more minutes of sleep. So it's it works out, right? She gets to sleep in a little bit longer, take her time, and then I get to spend that extra 10 minutes with her in the car, bringing her to school. And sometimes, we talk. Sometimes she just sits in the back quiet. Other times we listen to music. But one thing that we do a lot is we actually listen to sports talk radio, right? I should say I listen to sports talk radio. And she's in the back just listening as well. And there's a show on ESPN called Unsportsmanlike. And just stay with me. I promise you, this is going somewhere. So we watched. There's this not watch. We listened to the show called Unsportsmanlike on ESPN radio. Chris Canty. That name may sound familiar to you. He used to play for the Giants in the NFL. I think the Dallas Cowboys, possibly. I'm not positive. He went to Virginia, but he won a Super Bowl with the Giants. You got Michelle Smallman. You got Evan. I'm not sure his last name, but I know his name is Evan. Then you got the producer. His name is Pat. Producer Pat, they call him. And every day, every morning at 7:50 in the morning, they have a segment just for producer Pat, right? And the segment is called "I'm Over It." And now we love this segment, and it serves two purposes. The first purpose is it lets us know if we are on time or not, right? Because the segment starts at 7:50, and I know if we aren't by a certain traffic light by the time this segment starts at 7:50, I know we are running late. Real talk. But if we are beyond that traffic light when this segment starts, I know we are right on time. And if we are, you know, 30 seconds away from the school and this segment starts, I know we are perfect. We're actually early, right? So it serves as a barometer of making sure we're on task and we're going to show up for school on time. But also, it's just entertaining. Pat Costello is funny, and the segment is called "I'm Over It." Again, it's on the name of the show. If you ever want to listen to it now, it's called Unsportsmanlike. And I'm not a paid advertiser here. This is just we enjoy it. Maybe you will too. But on ESPN Radio, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. The show is called Unsportsmanlike, and but anyway, the producer Pat Costello, he goes on at 7:50 in the morning every day. He has a 5-minute segment, and he talks about um, things that he is over, like things that he's annoyed with. He's basically complaining about certain things that are happening around sports, around pop culture, in his personal life. And it's actually really entertaining. And me and my daughter, we laugh together all the time over the things that he's annoyed with. So it's really cool. I encourage you to check it out. But it got me thinking. I'm like, you know what? When it comes to college recruiting, there's a whole lot of things I'm over. There's a whole lot of things. There's a whole lot of gripes that I have. There's a whole lot of just situations I hear about, and I'm just like, God, like I just wish this did not exist. And I'm sick and tired of people talking about it or complaining about it, or just I just have some frustrations. So I'm going to use this time to just kind of vent to you guys about a few things that I am over when it comes to college recruiting, right? And I think though, by the end of it, I think it's going to help you in a way, because what I am over are also warning signs, right? So I'm just going to get right into it. I think as I explain this, it'll just make sense. So I'm over people complaining about the transfer portal, right? I am over people, everybody complaining about the transfer portal. And now for you families, how does this impact you? A lot of parents, a lot of high school student athletes, you guys are complaining about how the transfer portal is making it harder for you to become recruited athletes. Boom. Then you have fans who complain about their transfer portal. All of our best players, they leave right away. Then you have coaches saying, well, we invest in these players, we develop them, and then they leave. So everybody's complaining about the transfer portal. And I'm tired of hearing of it. I'm over that. And as this relates to my student athletes currently in high school, I'm just over you complaining about it because you kids can't change it. You can't do anything to change it, right? You have to just learn to control what you can control, right? And you just sitting up here constantly complaining about how, well, the transfer portal, now college coaches, they're not really recruiting high school players anymore. And it's just you guys are just whining. And I'm tired of it because instead of whining, figure out how you can use this to your advantage. You're either going to make excuses or you're going to find a way, right? And part of this is going to require you to possibly just have more patience. It's going to possibly make you have, delayed gratification, because maybe you have to go to a junior college for 1 year. Maybe you have to go to a Division II, Division III school 1 year, and then transfer into through the transfer portal, by the way, transfer into a D1 school or Division I AA school, whatever the case may be. So, but just in general, I am over families like constantly whining about um, the transfer portal, because eventually it can be a resource to you. It can work in your advantage at some point in time. But just complaining and whining about it, it's not going to change anything. It's here to stay, and it's not going to do you any bit of good complaining about it. So I'm over that. Um, I am over kids not taking their grades seriously, not taking their academics seriously. And I guess what I will say is a part B to that is I'm over parents investing more in their children's sports than they do their academics. And I've talked about this relatively recently, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I'm just over like parents will spend money on a coach, for baseball or for football or basketball, pick any sport, but they'll spend all this money on tournaments, they'll spend all this money on equipment, they'll spend all this money um on travel ball, and they spend money on gym memberships, all this different stuff. But then when it comes to their kids' academics, they won't spend money on a tutor. Yeah, that drives me crazy. So I'm over that. But then more importantly, I'm over student athletes, especially those who are really talented, who actually have athletic ability, not understanding that if they don't take care of business in the classroom, they're going to have limited options when it comes to college recruiting. So I am over that. I'm annoyed by it. It's very frustrating because so many dreams are shattered because kids go to school, they decide to be class clowns, they decide not to take their grades seriously, they decide not to ask for help. They decide that they rather be the class clown than the class scholar. They basically succumb to peer pressure. They'd rather be cool with a D, although even though there's nothing, I don't know what's cool about having a D. I don't know what's cool about carrying an F or a C. Like, what's cool about that? Like, I don't understand that, but I am over in general children, student athletes in particularly, not taking their grades seriously because it's costing them some really good opportunities. And then I'm just over parents not holding their children to a high academic standard, right? Hopefully you guys are kind of picking up on the pattern that I'm having here. And I'll spell it out for you in case you don't know, but basically if you don't get past this stuff, it's going to prevent you from getting a scholarship a lot of times. I'm over kids just and families, being way too passive when it comes to college recruiting. Like, I'm over recruits not being proactive. There are so many resources out there. There's so many, and I'll get to it in a second, but there's so many ways that you can promote yourself. There's so many ways to contact coaches. There's so many ways to engage with coaches. It blows my mind that families and student athletes aren't taking a more proactive approach to college recruiting. They're kind of sitting back, they're waiting, and they're hoping that coaches are going to just find them. That's For most of you, that's not going to be the case. You're not going to just get discovered. You're not going to just get an offer. So you have to have a plan and you have to execute that plan and you have to be very proactive, right? So I'm over that. I am over kids not being proactive. I am over kids blowing golden opportunities because they decide to post stupid things on social media. The lack of discipline, the lack of awareness, the lack of guidance from mom, dad. I'm over it because we're talking about huge opportunities here. And you're going to go and you're going to tweet something dumb. You're going to like an inappropriate post. You're going to comment. You're going to use foul language. You're gonna risk all that. You're gonna blow that opportunity for what? Like, what are you doing? So I'm over that. And I wish kids would make better decisions. And I really just wish parents and guardians, coaches would just get a hold of these kids and just say, listen, like, social media is your online resume. Fair or not, You will be judged based off of what you put on social media. And I just wish families and most importantly, student athletes gave a lot, gave greater thought and consideration um, to what they decide to post on social media. So I'm over that. Let's see. I'm over showcases. And let me be very clear. I'm not over all showcases because I think some showcases are very helpful. And I've said this many times. It was a showcase that allowed me to get recruited out of high school. I went to a showcase. There were about 30 college coaches there. I did my thing. That's how I got discovered. And that really kickstarted my recruiting process going into my senior year. But there's also so many college showcases out there that are fraudulent. They make all these promises about exposure. They make all these promises about coaches being there, and there's not a single coach in attendance. And you just run around in booty shorts and in a penny, and your kid is putting all this pressure on themselves, hoping that they can get discovered, and it's all for naught. It's just a waste of time, waste of money, and it saps you of your energy. And what happens is when you do all this stuff consistently and you don't get the traction that you want, your student athlete starts to question whether or not, man, am I not good enough? Say, no, you're not. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with your ability. Maybe you are good. You're just at the wrong place. There's no attention. There's no one there. There's no one there to evaluate you. You got sold a bill of goods, and it's a complete waste of your time. So that really bothers me, and I'm really over that. Really over that. So I just want to encourage all my parents out there, my families out there to don't be a sucker. And that's hard to say. And I don't want to say that. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful or um, insensitive, but I think too many of you guys are just suckers, and you're easy mark, and you pay $100 here, $80 there, $150 here. You drive 3 hours, 4 hours, and it's for what? There's there's no benefit to you other than running around for 3 4 hours. So just buyer beware. Buyer beware, because you guys work really hard um, to make the money that you make. And not only do I not want you wasting your money, but I also don't want your child to be discouraged because you got them attending the wrong events that don't deliver an ROI, return on investment. I'm over the fake offers, and shame on the coaches because they do this a lot to these kids. I've talked about this before as well. Again, guys, I've had over 100. I think at this point I'm up to 168 episodes. I've lost track. I was talking to my buddy over the weekend who discovered my podcast for the first time. And he was like, "I didn't know you did a podcast." I was like, "Yeah, I got a podcast." And like I was just kind of going through, like, dude, like we've interviewed coaches, we've interviewed Olympians, we've interviewed former college athletes, we've interviewed national champions. Obviously, I went to the college recruiting process, so I know a thing or two. But like, um, you know, I've been around a little bit now, right? And so I know for a fact there's been at least one or two episodes that I've talked about the difference between a committal and a non-committal offer. So I am over not fake offers, but I'm also over non-committal offers. And this practice is basically give you guys a cliff notes here. Is when a coach gives out an offer to kids to get them excited, but it's basically a fake offer. The student athlete can't accept it. Um, they offer 5 kids an offer, and the person who they have ranked of the 5, that's who was able to accept the offer. The other 4, the offer means nothing. That's the quick version. So that whole practice of stringing kids along being deceitful. Like, I'm over that, the fake offers. And I wish there was something that we can do about that, but I think that's gonna it's here to stay. It's a tactic that college coaches have used for a very long time. I am over though, also the D1 or bust mindset so many recruits have. Dude, there are so many great universities out there. There are so many strong programs out there. And I think if we just approach this whole thing with the mindset of what is the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal for most of you, because there's always, yeah, I'm not naive. There's some of you, like, you're going to school, to college for 1 or 2 years, and your goal is to go pro. Like, it's just you're going to college because you have to go to college, right? It's a means to an end. Like the NFL, you have to, go to school for you have to be 3 years removed from high school before you can go to the NFL. So you know what? Well, I might as well go to college. I got to play 3 years. The NBA, it's one or done. So um, I get it, but that's not the reality for 99.9% of you. The reality for 99.9% of you is when you graduate college, you're not going to go pro in your sport, and you're going to be entering the workforce, whether as an entrepreneur, whether as an employee, and you're going to be in that workforce most likely, call it 40 years, right? I think now if you retire at 55, that's considered like, wow, like you retired young. So think about it. Even if you graduate college at 21, 22, and you work 34 years till 55, that's still a very long time in the workforce that you have to navigate. And that's if you do it really, really well. So my point though is many of you need to really like understand your true purpose of going to college. And if you're allowed to play sports and have somebody pay for it, whether in a full scholarship or a partial scholarship, like that's a big deal. That's a win. Like being able to go to college, play the sport you love, build those relationships, have those experiences, those opportunities, have an opportunity to expand your network, apply those lessons that are certainly transferable to when you do start your own business or enter the workforce as an employee. Like I feel like at times we like just dismissed all that, and I just don't understand that. Um, and so many families, particularly student athletes, miss out on some amazing opportunities because they are so close minded, and it's like D1 or bust. Like if it's not D1, it's not for me. And they spend all their time trying to get noticed by Division 1 colleges, but they don't have Division 1 ability. And meanwhile, they could go and shine at a Division 2 school. They could shine at a Division 3 school. They can shine at an NAIA school. They can shine maybe 1 or 2 years at a junior college and then transfer to a Division 1 program. But this whole D1 or bust mindset has probably cost so many families, not families, student athletes, an opportunity to play beyond high school. So I am 100% over the D1 or bust mindset. It's just costing our student athletes tremendous opportunities, right? Got a couple more for you, and hopefully, you know, as I share these, you're starting to like just understand, like, wow, like, is this me? Do I have this mindset? Are we attending the wrong showcases? Are we getting the wool pulled over our eyes by college coaches with fake offers? Are we, am I posting bad things on social media that could be costing me a scholarship? Am I, not being proactive enough with reaching out to college coaches? Do I not have a plan? Right. Um, I'm over families, particularly mom and dad, like not forcing, but not encouraging their kid to play multiple sports. Like this whole overemphasis on, okay, this is our sport and we gotta play it year round, and we're gonna put all of our eggs in one basket. All of our eggs in one basket. And okay, he's an eighth grader. She's an eighth grader, and you know what? Going into high school, I know they've played three sports their whole life, but you know what? We're gonna eliminate these two sports to go all in on this one. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they can play multiple sports. I don't care how good they are. LeBron James, one of the best basketball players of all time, he played football in high school. Allen Iverson played basketball, played football. I can give you a list that goes on and on and on. Patrick Mahomes, he played baseball, played football, played basketball. Like, I don't know who's telling you guys that you have to specialize, but I'm over it. And that advice that they're giving you is terrible. So I am over families, specializing in one sport way too soon. Honestly, you should never specialize it. I mean, even play through your senior year. I mean, I think it's a pro. It's a benefit to play multiple sports. College coaches, it's been proven. You listen to any interview that they do, they all say they love recruiting kids that play multiple sports. And if you want to try to debate me on that, I'm over debating people on this. it's You're wrong. Like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I mean, there's always gonna be exceptions. Gymnastics, ballet. There's certain sports where they maybe you need to have 8 hours, but your traditional sports, it's you don't really need to specialize. Some over families kind of specializing in one sport and giving up on other sports. It doesn't make any sense. So play multiple sports, kids. All right. What else we got here? I got two more. One more. I got one more, and then I got a bonus for you. I am over, and it kind of ties into my something I said earlier, but I'll repeat it here. I am over this term. I am over people saying, if you're good enough, they will find you. Shut the hell up. Respectfully, of course. But this whole, if you're good enough, coaches will find you. It's not true. That is a surefire way to be disappointed. I'm just telling you right now, because most of you, that's not going to be your reality. For most of you, I'm not saying you're not good enough. I'm not saying you can't play at the next level. But what I'm saying is you're not good enough to be discovered without being proactive. So if you are falling for this mess, you're doing yourself a disservice. So I am over people saying that if you're good enough, they will find you. It's like somebody who has a website, right? They spend all this time and money, they build a website, and they have all these special cool graphics on it, and they oh this people are just gonna find my website because I have great content on it, or I have great pictures on whatever the case may be. And it's like, no, you have to promote your website. You have to, there's a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna bore you with all the details, but there's a lot of things that you have to do to get people to visit your website. You just can't build it and they will come, right? There's a lot of different things that you have to do to drive traffic to your website if you're a business owner, right? It's no different when it comes to college recruiting, right? You have to figure out ways to drive traffic, to drive attention from college coaches to your Twitter, to your huddle, to your YouTube, to your Instagram, right? Get them to respond to your emails, to call you back. But if you just think, oh, I scored 3 touchdowns this weekend and I showed up on my local news, they showed, a 15-second highlight of me scoring, and now my phone's going to blow up and I'm going to get recruited. What are you talking about? That is not how this works. So that is one of the most expensive that is one of the most expensive sayings there is when it comes to college recruiting. If you're good enough, they'll find you. Yeah, they're gonna find the top 100 players in the country, the All Americans. They're gonna find those blue chip 5-star recruits. The rest of you, the rest of us, because I was one of them. We gotta disrupt that. We gotta go out and get it. So just eliminate that discussion. Don't even accept that as false, as fact, because that's not how it works for most of you. And then my bonus here, and kind of breaks everything down into one simple word. But I am over this the misinformation that's out there. Listen, um, I'm passionate about this. Um, I've said this so many times, but for many of you, your athletic ability, I'm not saying it is who you are. You're not going to be defined by it. You have a lot to offer beyond just sports. But for many student athletes, for many recruits, your quote unquote superpower, your game changer, your life equalizer, if you will, your what's going to give you access to a higher education, what's going to give you access to a certain network, what's going to give you access to certain scholarships is your athletic ability. So for me, any misinformation out there that can potentially derail your focus, that can have you going down the wrong path, the wrong rabbit hole, wasting money, wasting time, like that bothers me deeply, deeply, right? So I just encourage you all, and whether it's with me, whether it's whomever, but like really try to align yourself with people who are going to be objective with you, who are going to be fair, who are knowledgeable, who are experienced, but ultimately who just want what's best for you, right? Um, Try to align yourself with people in your corner because there is a lot of misinformation out there. Sometimes it's intentional. I think people intentionally try to mislead you to their own for their own benefit. And then there's other people who are well intended, who aren't trying to, derail you, but they don't know what they don't know, and they're giving you bad advice. It's just misinformation. So, um, those are a few things I am over when it comes to college recruiting. And I think if we can eliminate these things, um, the recruiting process would be a little bit better for everybody for everyone involved. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. You can email me, Coach Keto at gmail.com, Coach Keto at gmail.com with your thoughts. You can message me on, uh, on Instagram at you recruit you. And of course, you can follow me on TikTok, Coach KITO, Coach Keto, Coach KITO. But hey, again, I just did my live video here, uncut, unedited. So if you want to check us out on YouTube, just search "You Recruit You," and I'll pop up. I'm wearing my Northeastern, red hoodie, so it should be there for you. But until next time, I am your recruiting coach and host, Quito Delgado, reminding you that college recruiting starts with you. What steps are you taking today to earn a scholarship tomorrow?